the International Conference on Agriculture and Forestry.
To present farmers' innovation capacity for climate-smart forest and agricultural practices in Bangladesh, Department of Agricultural Extension Educations, and I will share our experiences with all of you. So the outline of the study, the background, then introduction of the project, then our findings and lessons learned, and finally the recommendations. Actually, Bangladesh is a very small country, but having huge population, 160 million population, and this huge population require huge amount of food production, and that's why the people are giving their pressure on natural resources, especially forest and water bodies. That's why deforestation is a very common phenomenon is here, and for improving the production, farmers are using huge amount of agrochemicals, which is actually contributing in shrinking our biodiversity, just declining soil fertility, enhancing population, and most of the cases due to withdrawal of water from the upstream, especially in Jamuna River, the water layer is also going down. So our agriculture is facing multifarious challenges at this moment, especially for the smallholder rural people. So I have already mentioned that Bangladesh is a very small country with huge populations, and 77% of our population lives in the rural areas, and their livelihood is completely dependent on natural resources, and they practice subsistence farming, or sometimes they work as wage labor. However, the forestry subsector is a very important sector, especially in the areas close to the forest. The rural people over there, they are maintaining their livelihoods from forest resources to promote social, economical, and environmental sustainability. And forest provides a significant portions of our timber and firewood supply for our total demand. Bangladesh, we have three types of forests. The middle portions, this is sal forest, and the name of the area is Madhupur forest area. We have hill forest and mangrove forest. You have probably know the name of Sundarban, the World Heritage. This is the mangrove forest. But we conducted our project in the sal forest area, which is really 30 kilometers far from my university. The local people, especially the ethnic local people, their livelihoods is depend on the forest resources. So especially for collecting firewoods, they are destroying the forests, and at the same times they are doing some encroachment for agricultural land, and they are cultivating agricultural crops in the forest areas. And if you observe the satellite view, the forest area which shrank to a great extent from 1962 to 2003 and at present, and the passage is showing the forest is just extinct very quickly. That's why. And at the same time, the other challenges in this area, people are using huge amount of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. If you observe the figure, this is also just increasing very sharply in the past few decades, and the consumption of pesticides, which is very severe even compared to consumption of fertilizers. So our intention was to minimize carbon emission through introduction of low carbon emission agricultural practices like vermicompost, botanical pesticides, and at the same time to introduce improve stove for cooking of the rural poor to minimize their dependency on forest resources, especially for firewood, and to enable women's abilities to experiment and share low carbon emission practices. And finally, our intention was to increase women's participations in social forestry program for improving their livelihoods. So in these connections, we had few interventions like awareness building on climate change and its consequences, especially the ethnic people in the rural community. Most of the cases they are illiterate or slightly literate. So they are not aware about the consequences of climate change issues and the causes of climate change like deforestation and other activities that they unintentionally they're doing. So we try to create awareness among them. We have introduced vermicompost technology for reduce dependency on chemical fertilizers, which is really expensive. And at the same time, we introduce botanical pesticides as well, so that they can prepare the pesticides plants available in their locality, and so that they can cultivate safe food for their own consumption, as well as they can earn a bit from the price premium of safe fruits and vegetables. We also introduced soil testing kit and improved cooker. So at the initial stages, we consult with the local people, the local leaders, the ethnic people, then the forest department and other organizations, and we try to create awareness among them regarding the consequences of climate change issues. We also discuss with the ethnic people many times. We organize technology fair in the study area, and one of the picture below is showing the soil testing kits. We have provided the farmers the soil testing kit, and we trained them how they can use it, and they can analyze their soil fertility level, and they can use minimum amount of chemical fertilizer, and at the same time how much vermicompost is needed for cultivating their crops or something like this. We also introduced the improved cooker and botanical pesticides. We also organized some folk song in the area for creating awareness as well. And the improved stove, we supplied them, and at the same time we trained them so that they can prepare a low-cost stove, which will reduce the amount of firewood for cooking. We have just established few vermicompost pit in the areas, and we supplied the worm for producing vermicompost and to popularize the vermicompost in crop cultivations in the study area. We train the farmer to identify the local local plant materials having pesticidal values, and we just teach them how they can prepare botanical pesticides from locally available plants, and this way they are preparing botanical pesticides at homestead, and they are using at their crop cultivations. We have distributed huge amount of saplings, tree saplings for social forestry programs to the local poor, and with all of our efforts, the farmers in the study area, they have started social forestry program, and they are just raising timber plants as well as vegetables and fruits like papaya, pineapple and banana. The farmers, they are using the botanical pesticides prepared from their own capacity, and they are using organic pineapple. They are also producing organic vegetables and earning a bit from the price premium given by the niche market, especially in the super mall of the cities. And we try to calculate that how much they actually need if they cultivate 1 acre of land so under the social forestry program, both pineapple, papaya, and other vegetables. We checked that it required 8,640 Bangladeshi taka only for pesticides. But if they cultivate the same piece of land with their own prepared pesticides, which cost simply 720 Bangladeshi taka, it means that from 1 acre of land, they can simply reduce the cost $99 while they cultivate pineapple, papaya, and other vegetables with timber plants. So, our lesson from the project, we learned that especially the innovations that we introduced among the community members, among them the botanical pesticides and improved stove were found as most promising, because especially the women who are especially engaged in rearing kids and maintain the household activities, they have leisure time. So in their leisure time, they can easily collect the plant materials available in the local forests, and with these they are producing the botanical pesticides, and they are just giving to their husbands to use in their social forestry field, where they are cultivating timber, fruits and vegetables, and at the same time they are selling these additional botanical pesticides to the neighbors and earning a bit. On the other hand, due to the introduction of improved stove, their dependency has been reduced on collecting timber or firewood from the local forests, which is contributing to some extent in destroying the forests. And the participants, they used forest woods for cooking that I mentioned earlier, which actually contributed in deforestation and carbon emission. So our introduced energy saving stove is working for solving this problem to some extent. And at the same time, the safe and organic pineapple, papaya, which they are producing in their social forestry plot, they are selling it to the market and getting some price premium, which is actually contributing in their improving their income and livelihood as well. So the one thing I'd like to mention here, but there is a big problem, especially to get access to the fallow land of the forest department that has been already deforested, but the local elite people, as they have the better negotiation ability and political support, so they are getting the access in this fallow land, but the women, especially the rural women and rural poor, they have very poor access. So we think that we need to improve the farmers' negotiation capacity, and at the same time, if we can make a good link with farmers to the market, that might ensure better income for the farmers, and that might contribute in improving the livelihoods of the rural poor in the forest area. Thus, we are looking forward in establishing happy rural community through enabling their innovations capacity, so that they can manage their agricultural field in a climate smart manner. Thank you very much.